Okay, we are recording. So, hello, everybody. Welcome to Coffee Talk with Tara. I'm Tara. Everything I do is to empower people to connect their dots, to really step into their greatness and to be extraordinary. So, I have committed to all of you a whole bunch of new content, and I'm really excited because I have started an interview series. And the second on the interview agenda is Heather McCrae, who is an anxiety expert, and I'm really happy and excited to have her here with us. So, Heather, welcome to Coffee Talk with Tara.
It's great to be here, Tara. Thank you for asking me.
Thank you. So maybe you can let the viewers know what it is that you do. You're an anxiety expert and you specialize in development trauma?
What's called developmental trauma. That
Okay.
is, in the olden days, there was no such thing as developmental trauma. People would talk about child abuse. And so people would go into therapy for a million years to try to recover from child abuse. Developmental trauma is the study of what happens to someone as they develop over time and the effects that trauma has on them in every aspect of their life: financial, emotional, physical, spiritual. And so what I do is I work with adults and children specifically who are in a recovery process from being abused as children or infants or toddlers or whenever the abuse started, or recovering from a traumatic situation. I work with people who suffer with anxiety. It doesn't necessarily have to be developmental trauma, but that is my area of expertise. Yeah.
Okay, so how did you get you when we talked prior to getting on, you actually talked about energy and anxiety. So
Right.
how did you get into this work? Maybe you can start there, and then maybe you can also let us know how these two are related, energy and anxiety.
Well, that's a really good question. I am a developmental trauma survivor myself. I was an abused child.
Okay.
And my recovery process happened before developmental trauma research happened. So I had to figure it out all on my own.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I had a lot of help. And because I am a very spiritual person, grounded in three-dimensional reality, but a very spiritual person, I am an initiate in the Modern Mystery School, and I'm a certified healer. I'm also certified in the oldest, purest form of Reiki through the Jikinen Reiki Institute in Japan. And so I've been working with energy for many years, first and foremost my own, which is how we as initiates in the Mystery School work. We work with energy. And when you're recovering from a traumatic event or developmental trauma where you were abused over a period of time, even if mentally you understand what happened to you, you still carry the energy of what happened to you, both in your body and in your aura, the energy field around your body. And so what I do is I help adults and children get rid of that. And I use different tools such as Mini-Me Yoga. I'm the ambassador to Canada. I'm one of the ambassadors to Canada for Mini-Me Yoga, which is a beautiful children's yoga program that my friend Kate Bartram Brown developed for children and trauma, children with anxiety issues. We have done Mini-Me Yoga. We train adults, we train parents and teachers,
Right.
and social workers and caregivers, foster parents, anybody who has a relationship with a child, whether it's therapeutic or just because you love them. And we show them how to use the yoga to help the children deal with difficult feelings. It doesn't have to be a child recovering from trauma.
Right.
It's just really good for kids that are. There's lots of components to the program. We use it with, my partner and I have two children, one of whom is also a developmental trauma survivor. And so we have used components from Mini-Me Yoga to help him. We meditate with our son every night, and he has had some profound breakthroughs as a result of the way that we work with the tools. So it's been really exciting. I mean, if you think about it, just even scientifically, we are all at our core atomic molecules. So we're all pure energy on one level. And energy affects everything. As you know, you can go into a room and you can feel if somebody's energy is really lovely or if it's really messed up, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
And so I have different tools like life activation, Jikinen Reiki, 7-layer aura healing, other things to help people, whether it's an adult or a child. I mean, some of the tools I have, I don't use with children because they're not necessary.
Right.
Things like a 7-layer aura healing you don't do with a child, but a life activation I do with everybody, because what that does is it brings in more light. and everybody needs light, you
Mm-hmm.
know,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
It's really interesting because one, I think that what you're doing is very necessary. I mean, I am not a parent, but I'm watching people parent around me, and I'm around a lot of youth and have a lot of friends that have even just tweens, for example, those
Sure.
12-year-olds that are really
Sure.
struggling because the way of the world is very different. I mean, I went outside and rode my bike until the lights, came on and went inside.
Mhm.
And I really think that I'm kind of the generation that it stopped after that. I have much younger cousins, and the anxiety that they're facing is very different than what I faced. And so I do think that it's really necessary, the work that you're doing. And really interesting how you are describing energy and anxiety. Part of my personal experience, I think everybody has experienced anxiety to a
Sure.
varying degree from different
Sure.
sources. They may call
Right.
it that, they may call it stress, they may call it anxiety. And it's really interesting because I've always, for myself, deemed it more of misguided energy. When I was feeling anxious, I started to get into this phase of, okay, it's misguided energy. Um,
Interesting.
yeah. So for example, I would, and this has only actually been through my own development and my
Sure.
own spiritual journey. So I
Sure.
think in a previous version of myself,
Mm-hmm.
having gone through, I guess, my own developmental traumas as I was young and having to learn how to deal with them as well. Um,
Mm-hmm.
I would have I looked to things like Reiki, and I actually started my spiritual journey with learning how to do Reiki and becoming a
Mm-hmm.
Reiki practitioner and that as well. So it's really tied together. And then it landed and it kind of took me on a different journey. But I realized later on that when I was not listening to my intuition, for example,
Mm-hmm.
the feeling surfaced similarly to anxiety, to what I would deal at or deem as anxiety, except it was
Mm-hmm.
really like my spirit team being like, go, go, go. And then I ignore them and they go, so they just blast me with energy. And so I would describe it to others as going up that roller coaster. And then you get to the top because you're like, yeah, I'm going to do it. And I'm listening and I'm in it and I'm here. And then you don't. And they're like, and you come back down. So really interesting how you're describing energy and anxiety and how I've actually right now tie the two together because it's really giving me a broader perspective. So thank you so much
Oh,
for
you're
that.
welcome.
And again,
Absolutely.
yeah.
It's funny because when you were talking about your spirit guides trying to contact you, my experience with it has always been, first you get a whisper,
Mm-hmm.
then you get a louder voice, then you get a kind of tap, and then you get a nudge, and then you get shoved, right?
Mm-hmm.
So part of, I understand what you mean about the anxiety of that energy kind of being aware, I got to do something, I got to do something, oh God, I got to do something. But honestly, anxiety and stress are two different things. Stress is incidental. It's based on a specific event. Stress
Mm-hmm.
is, oh my God, I've got a research paper and it's due, whatever. Or, oh, I have to have a difficult conversation with somebody. That's
Right.
stress. Anxiety is unconscious energy that's been sitting there for a long time
Yeah.
because of an event that took place in the past. And it keeps coming up as an opportunity for us to clear it. And until we get clear about what that event was or what it is that needs to be cleared, it'll keep coming up and amplifying
Mm.
stress. It'll take stress and multiply it by like 30. So, the more that we can do to stay really honest and true with ourselves and what we're feeling and keep our connection with our bodies.
Mm-hmm.
The one thing that we tell our children, and Colia specifically, is the safest place you can be is in your body.
Mm.
Your body knows things that your mind and your ego don't.
So that's really interesting because I've found it personally difficult for a very long time to stay in my body, to stay grounded, to stay present. So
Yep.
are there things that you maybe do on a daily basis or that you can sort of a tip that you can share with people that would allow them to quickly get back in their bodies?
Oh, absolutely. Yep. There's a big misunderstanding in the New Age community and people that follow a spiritual path
Mm-hmm.
that the way to connect with the universe is to go out. And
Yeah.
we, in the mystery school, there's a very specific class that we teach on connecting in astral travel, but there's a very specific process that keeps you connected to your body while you're doing it, so that you go up through a series of steps and you come back down again. But most spiritual people think that the most spiritual thing you can do is leave your body. That's not true. As initiates, we believe that the best, most powerful thing we can do is bring spirit down. Bring the light and love of God, the universe, however you want to call it, down into your body and send it out into the world. And so I have very specific rituals that I do twice a day, morning and night, to ground myself, to get my negative ego out of the way. And I actually there's a really lovely process that we use for the kids sometimes, and anybody can use if they're stressed out. And it is to connect you with your five senses: taste, touch, smell, sight, and sound. And I may not remember these in correct order, but I'm going to do the best I can. The first thing you do is you ask someone, if you see they're stressed out, tell me 5 things that you see, and then they'll name the 5 things around them. 4 things you can touch, 3 things you can hear, 2 things you can smell, and 1 thing you can taste. Right? Taste, touch, smell, sight, sound.
Right.
And because, when we get freaked out, the first thing we want to do is check out, right? Especially if you're somebody with an abuse background. If you're abused as a child, you don't even live in your body most of the time anyway.
Right.
And, some of the hardest work we do, that I do in helping others recover, whether it's an adult or a child, is help them learn to land in their body and stay there. And it is a process, because, like I said, your body still has the memory of the abuse that took place, or the tragic event, or whatever it is. And so you have to, there's a process by which you have to very gently land in your body. And then you have to practice getting all that stuff off and out, so that you can put more light in and feel safer and safer and safer and more grounded.
Okay. Wow. That's a really good tip. I mean, I was sort of doing it as you were saying it, just in my head, because it really forces you to come back to right now. But
in a gentle way. It's not, it's more of a, oh, thank God I'm safe kind of thing, right?
Yeah. And it without you sort of recognizing it or realizing it, makes you be present, because you can't think about other things, because you're thinking, okay, what is around me? Oh, my picture, my Buddha, or blah, 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 my purse. Exactly. So
it's great if you're having a panic attack. I mean, that's really what it's for, is to help you come back when you're having a panic attack. Yeah.
Oh, that's phenomenal. I'm actually going to put that in my back pocket, because I am sure that the universe is going to give me an opportunity to help someone by trying this and using it. So thank you so much for sharing that. Really, really appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah.
Me
too.
So just so I can clarify, because I know that people are going to watch this and they're going to think, well, I didn't have necessarily abuse as a child. Would this, or as an adult even, because a lot of things happen in our adult life, would this type of clearing and energetic work around the anxiety that I'm currently living with help me? So could this also stem from, for example, you said tragic event. So maybe you can broaden the grouping of individuals that would come to you, just so that people could.
I mean, I want to life activate everybody. I mean, the purpose of the life activation in the first place is just to bring people more light. It doesn't matter who it is. You could have a fabulous life, and the life activation will give you more. You could be somebody who's in recovery from addiction, and it will give you more light to help you. It's just meant to give you more light. Every tool I have is good for everybody in every circumstance that they all work on everyone. I just market myself as an energy and anxiety expert, because I know personally, given my own background, how powerful it is for that. Right. I have a master's degree in special education, and I used to work with at-risk children in and around Atlanta, Georgia, the poorest of the poor, ghetto kids who were really struggling. And I wish that I'd had these tools to help the children. Here, I'm going to show you something real quick. This is an example. I don't know if you can see it. This is an example of one of the mini me yoga cards.
Oh, so cute.
From the Explorers Club. Aren't these great? Yeah.
Airplane pose. Nice.
Yeah. I teach something called a 2-hour workshop for grown-ups.
Okay.
And what I do in that 2 hours is I show educators, parents, social workers, anybody who works with children,
right,
or parents of children, how to work with the yoga poses in ways that are really playful. I'll give you an example. There's a very powerful Om that we do in the Mini Me Yoga 2-hour workshop. And in our family, what we do is every morning, the four of us get together and we hold hands and we do an Om right before my partner goes to work. And when she comes home again, we Om again, and it acts as an anchor for our children. Well, for all of us, right? And so it's a way for us to remember throughout the day, no matter what's going on, we still have the anchor of our family, and it's really beautiful. Yeah, it's beautiful. Mm-hmm. It's really beautiful. There's so many things in this program that are good for everybody, it's really fun because every time I've taught the 2-hour workshop, I've had grown-ups say, God, I wish there was a yoga class for adults that was just like this, so it
sounds like so much fun.
It is. It's really sweet. It is. And Mini Me Yoga is literally all over the world. They're going like gangbusters in the UK because in the UK they have funding for the schools for mental health for children.
Right.
So in Canada, we're still kind of at the beginning of that. I have done private school training. Okay. I've trained daycares. We did a consortium of daycares in Montreal last year. We trained over 50 daycare educators, and Glen Oak Academy here in Mississauga. Yay, Glen Oak. I trained their staff. Okay. And I love the work. I love the tools I offer, and they are good for literally everybody. We've taught the yoga class to children with autism who loved it. There is not one kid who's been in relationship to Mini Me Yoga that hasn't just loved it, and the grown-ups love it too. All of the tools that I have that I offer adults and children are very gentle and very safe. And I've life activated, dozens and dozens of people all over the GTA.
That's beautiful. That's incredible.
I love what I do. Yeah.
I mean, I'm just sitting here and I was like, oh, I really need to find out when your next mini me is, because although I don't have children, I would really love to teach them.
Oh, you'd love it. You'd love it. It's fun. We should talk later. It's fun. There's lots.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Actually, I was at a conference this past weekend, and there was just this mega speaker that came out, and he talked about kind of violence and gun violence and all of this stuff in the city, and what really the cause was in terms of in the brain. And then how his solution, because he had read a bunch of studies, was meditation. So, yes. You know what? I'm going to interrupt you for a minute. Probably the most important thing that I do is teach meditation. And here's why. Because I'm sorry, I'm just so excited about this. When you're a trauma survivor, your brain works in a certain way, and that is fight or flight. Chemically, you mostly have cortisol flying through your system, so you're constantly in a state of fight or flight, meaning you're ready for a fight, which means you are more argumentative, you are more reactive, you have crap relationships, you go through jobs like water, just drama, because you don't know anybody, because your brain is stuck in a loop. Right.
And the brand of meditation that I'm trained in, which is called Max Meditation, and Mini Me Yoga, the meditation class that we teach through Mini Me Yoga to adults, is also derivative of Max Meditation. So it has the same sort of components, all of which are about changing brain patterns.
Right.
Because until you create new neural pathways in your brain, you're going to be stuck doing the same stuff over and over again. In Al-Anon 12-step work, they'll tell you that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result.
Right. And it's very similar to, I've listened to and I've gotten into a little bit of Dr. Joe Dispenza's work, and he says the exact same thing, that you have to reset the neurons in your brain. And so what was really exciting for me is that this gentleman was very, very passionate and a fellow Torontonian. And he was actually talking, because Mayor John Tory came out right before him. So he was talking about how he would like to bring meditation to schools, at-risk
Oh my gosh,
communities,
yes.
all of
Yes,
these
that's what mini me
places.
yoga is for. That's right.
Right. And it really fueled in me this sense of action. So, I mean, I know that the universe has always is conspiring. And so I'm so happy
That's
that we're
right.
having this conversation
Oh, me
right
too. Me
now.
too. Me too. I would love to train you to be a kids club leader.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Because
Yeah.
then you could do the meditation classes and you could do the yoga classes with children and families. Absolutely. I'd love to. We should talk later.
Yeah, we should.
That'd be
So,
phenomenal. Yeah.
saying that, I'm sure that there's going to be plenty of parents and people on here, and not even parents, just people that are interested in doing something that's gentler. I know for myself, getting into my journey of spirituality was really overwhelming.
Oh,
So
yes.
much stuff to go through.
Yep.
There was just you anywhere you could take this yoga class. I mean, there's so
Well, that's
much.
right. And you have to do what's right for you. And that can be overwhelming if you don't know.
Right. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, I know mini me yoga is for mini me's, but it just seems like such an amazing
Oh,
entry
I
for
use
adults
the
as
tool.
well, like
That's right. I use the
gentle.
tools all the time. Yep. I use the tools all
So,
the time.
how do people, because I know people are going to ask, but how do they find
Sure.
you? How do they find a mini me? Like, what's your website? How do people
Okay.
reach out?
My website, it's very simple. My website is just heathermccrae.com.
Okay.
HeatherMccrae.com.
Mm-hmm.
My email is just heather@heathermccrae.com. I live in Mississauga, Ontario, Canada.
Okay.
If there are people watching this podcast from around the world, I can find you a life activation practitioner anywhere in the world, and I can find you a mini me yoga person to connect with anywhere in the world.
Okay.
I will always be able to find you something. If it's not me, I can find you somebody close to where you are. Always.
Okay. Great. So I'm also going to put that when I upload this video, as well as I will make sure that there is all the information included in the video so that you guys can all find out how to connect with Heather. I personally have found this session of Coffee Talk to be incredibly inspiring. I'm super excited. I feel completely lit up with light. So you must
Yay!
be, yes, it's a super
That's
powerful
my job.
conversation.
Yay! That's my job.
Thank you so, so much for your time and your
Thank
energy and sharing what you love, because you can really see that you're speaking from your heart. And I do believe personally that, our journeys always lead us to expose our best talents and to
Absolutely. Yep.
really allow us to grow and be that person by using those talents. Some people underestimate them and think, oh, I'm just doing this. But really, when you dive into your talents and your journey and you marry the two together and you start telling
Yep.
your story, you become completely unstoppable and you're in such a powerful place. So
Absolutely. Nothing is ever wasted, is it? Nothing's ever wasted.
nothing. I mean, it's really all about perspective. I think
Yep.
once you
I
can
agree.
shift into the fact that nothing is ever wasted, there's a whole new energetic level that propels you forward in life. So
That's right.
it's really my mission I really want to ensure that everyone lives their purpose-driven life and to find it and to explore it. Children have always been a big part of what I wanted to do with my work.
Absolutely.
So
Yep.
I'm really, really excited to connect more with you on that.
Me too. I really am. Thank you so much for asking me. I really appreciate it.
Oh, you're very, very welcome. So I am going to say thank you guys for listening and following and supporting both myself with Coffee Talk with Tara and my work, and as well Heather. And I will see you guys all very, very soon. Thank you.
Thanks, Tara.